In this session, we're going to start at the beginning. We're going to talk about perception. What is perception and how does perception become a reality? In the Western mind, we perceive things, we get an idea about things, we view things, or we hold an opinion about something based upon the information that we take in using our five senses. As an example, I'm looking outward, I'm listening outward, and therefore I'm centered on what it is that I'm viewing, what I'm hearing, what I'm listening to. That information is coming in, and therefore I'm forming an opinion. One of the biggest steps on the journey is to understand that while I'm doing this, anyone else in my environment that is sharing time with me, witnessing what I'm witnessing, in other words, looking at the objects, will also be using their five senses. And therefore they will get a subjective meaning that is not necessarily the same as mine. In other words, we don't all take in the same information and get the same result. And that's quite obvious in life. We can be in a situation with friends, family, or loved ones where we're watching sport, for example, and I can be going for one team, you could be going for another team, and we will see things differently. We'll see our team and we'll be rooting for our team, and you'll be rooting for your team. And something will happen and we'll go, that was wrong. And the other person will go, no, 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 that was right. It was in, it was out, whatever. The perception we're getting is real. It's not that one is right and one is wrong. It's just that we are perceiving things in a manner that the information is coming into us. So what happens? Well, the information comes into us and it goes into our mind. Our mind then creates the storyline. How does it create the storyline? Well, it creates the storyline on all of our previous experiences. It's called a priori predisposition. In other words, theoretical knowing. What we have been raised to think and what we have experienced, or quite often not necessarily experienced, just been told or have read. So we have knowing. And it's important to understand the difference. Knowing something is not the same as knowledge. Knowing something is a cognitive ability to comprehend or to take in information. I can read a book about flying an aircraft, and therefore I know that planes fly, but I don't have knowledge. I'm not a pilot. I haven't flown an aircraft. So the difference is we can know something. However, true knowledge only comes with experience. We have to experience something to have knowledge. And we're going to start from that point. What I experience and what you experience at any given situation is different, totally different, based on all of the previous experiences in our lives. We're a walking filing cabinet or a computer with files there of everything we've seen, everything we've smelt, everything we've heard, everything we've touched, all of the five senses. It's all there and it's in our brain. Now, our brain has one role, and that is to ensure that this survives. The brain is built for survival. Number one and only role, keep this body alive. So it takes all of the information and it uses it constantly. It's vigilant. Its number one role, ensure this survives. Therefore, it has a negativity bias. And by negativity bias, I mean it doesn't like unknown. It likes known, because known is proven. If we have been doing something up until this point, then it's known. I know this, says the brain, and you're alive. Let's keep doing it. It's different to the unknown. The unknown is uncertain. And if it's uncertain or unknown, it's dangerous. And the brain does not like danger because it wants you to survive. So here we come to that first T intersection. I have reached the T intersection. There is my brain on one side that doesn't like change. It likes to do the same thing because it's based on survival. And on the other side, on the other pathway, is my mind. My mind is opposite to my brain. And this is why the term mindfulness is here, as opposed to brainfulness. When we're using our brain, or more importantly, our brain is active and in charge of myself, then it's coming from a place of danger. When we develop our mind, we become open-minded to unknown. And we start to invite our brain to move toward the unknown. Now, this takes a lot of self-effort. It feels very foreign. It feels uncomfortable because the brain's screaming, no, I don't want to go down that path of unknown. And yet the only way to advance in life is to go down the path of unknown. Because when we move toward the unknown, it becomes known. Then we take that new experience, that new knowledge, and we move toward the unknown again, and it becomes known. And we rinse and repeat. The unknown becomes known, the unknown becomes known, the unknown becomes known. Eventually, the brain will relinquish. It will allow you to do it. But I'm here to tell you, it's a battle. It takes a lot of self-effort. It takes a lot of correction. I didn't know whether to say correcting or correction. It's in my brain thinking. It takes a lot of correcting. It takes change of behavior. And that takes a lot of effort because we behave in a certain way because we're coming from survival. We're engaged with the brain. Change of behavior means we're relaying neural pathways. We have these neural pathways in our brain that like habitual behavior. So what you're being invited to do is to recognize that there are habitual behaviors, neural pathways, that are based on survival. When we learn how to recognize these neural pathways and then actively try to relinquish the habitual behavior for a new practice that allows us to take back control of our brain, in other words, our thoughts, then we're in a position where we can change our behavior. And it stands to reason, if you change your behavior, change your action, then you change your result in life. Let's take a moment to think about that. If you take an action, you get a result. If the result isn't really serving you, the only way you can change the result in future is to change the action you're taking. And the only way you can change the action you're taking is through self-effort, through concentration, through practice of recognizing, oh, this is the action I've been taking. It's not giving me the result that I'm seeking. Therefore, I have to get uncomfortable. I have to change my behavior. I have to change my action. And when you start to change your action, then you start to head in a different direction and you get a different result. It sounds fairly simple, it sounds fairly logical, but the thing that we're dealing with here, folks, is the brain. We all have one, and when it's in control, it's mighty powerful. It won't relinquish control to you until such time as you understand that the brain and the mind are not the same thing. They are interdependent, not independent. In other words, the brain, yes, it's necessary. That's what keeps us ticking. When we're asleep, the brain kicks in and we breathe. And you don't purposely sit here and activate your breath or activate the circulation of your blood. The brain does that for you. However, it also activates neurotransmitters or neuropeptides, we'll call them hormones, that come from a base of survival. And when we're continually in that mode, then we're suffering, because we're not designed to be in that all of the time. So therefore, it is imperative to learn how to activate your mind, because the mind is an observer of the brain. Imagine that's your brain, that's your mind. Let me show you. Close your eyes for a moment and think about what I've just shared with you. Just think about it. And now pull back slightly and witness that you can think about what you're thinking about. In other words, you can observe what you're thinking right now. So who is thinking and who is observing? Well, you're going to say both are you. And the answer is yes, both are you, yet they are aggregates of you. We're a multifaceted thing. We're not just one thing. We're not just a brain. We're a body, we're a mind, and we're a soul. There are three main aggregates. There are more, but for now, three is good. And recognizing that the physical body, this thing carrying me around, is part of myself. And the physical body includes the brain. It's part of myself. There is also a part of myself that is able to observe myself. That's my mind. And later, we get to discover there is also a part that goes beyond that, and that's my soul, the observation of all of this thing. A little bit far for now. For now, let's just sit with the simplicity of I am a multifaceted individual. I'm not just one thing. I'm not my thoughts, because I can change my thoughts. The same as I can change my shirt. I'm not my shirt. I can choose to accept it and wear it, or I can take it off. I can do that with my thoughts as well. Now, how do we know that to be true? Haven't you ever changed your mind? Haven't you ever been thinking one thing and then all of a sudden thought, no, you know what, I'm going to do the opposite? You changed your thoughts. We call it changing my mind, but in fact, you're changing your thoughts. So we have the capacity to evaluate what we're thinking. And when we pause and we do this, when we take time to say, well, here's my thought, why am I thinking it? What am I looking for? What am I making it mean? Is this serving me? Is this drawing me toward what it is that I want in life? If it's not, then stop doing it. Learn how to stop following every thought you have, because they're not permanent. They're optional. Every thought is optional. That's why you can change your mind. That's enough information for now. There is a link on my website that will give you an opportunity to unpack that a little bit more if you're interested. And if you are, well, you're on the path to the cessation of suffering, because the path to the cessation of suffering is simply, in Western terms, acknowledging that we have emotions and being able to address the emotions as they rise. Some are comfortable, some are uncomfortable. They're all here to serve you. When we stop running away from them, when we stop pushing them down, suppressing, repressing, or depressing our emotions, and we start to recognize that they're here to serve us, well, then we're ready to start unpacking them and learning about them. Why are they here? What are they here to tell me? What can I do differently? How can I get this thing that I'm looking for in life? Whatever your goal is. It may be to solve a problem, yet you'll come to understand solving a problem isn't the answer. It's solving the cause of the problem that is the answer. Because when we solve the cause, the problems disappear and they no longer become problems. They become opportunities. Here I am gifted with another opportunity to move closer toward what I want in life. Okay. Hopefully this will resonate with you, and I'll get to share time with you if you're ready, if that's your journey.